Welcome everyone to our Circle of Life presentation.
Very good.
By Ms. Kaitlin Rowe. Is Tom Michario here?
I am.
Yay. Let's get started with our reflection today, and then I will be happy to introduce Dom, our wonderful sponsor. This is a recorded presentation. If you do not want your face on, please turn your video off. But Tom, if you would please so kind as to start with our reflection.
Yes. So something brief, but I think interesting. Shakespeare said, "I always feel happy. You know why? Because I don't expect anything from anyone. Expectations always hurt. Life is short, so love your life. Be happy and keep smiling. Just live for yourself, and before you speak, listen. Before you write, think. Before you spend, earn. Before you pray, forgive. Before you hurt, feel. Before you hate, love. Before you quit, try. Before you die, live."
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was perfect. Perfect. Every month, the Circle of Life Coalition has a sponsor for a presentation so we can keep the lights on, so to speak. And Mr. Dominic Mergito has been so kind with such spirits to sponsor our presentation today. And so without further ado, Dom, if you wouldn't mind speaking a little bit about your wonderful Such Spirits organization.
Thank you, Deb. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dominic Mergito. I'm founder of the Such Spirit Bereavement Support Group. Such Spirit is a support group for the sudden, unexpected death of a spouse or significant other. Basically, Such Spirit is an acronym that stands for Sudden, Unexpected Death of a Spouse, Survivors, and Participation to Inform, Renew, Improve, and Triumph. And basically, we're a group that meets monthly, usually on the fourth Wednesday of every month. With COVID and stuff, we've been kind of interrupted with our usual meeting place, which is the Exeter Community Library. However, since then, we've been meeting in restaurants. And lately, we've been meeting at the Crossroads Restaurant on Road 61 and 222 on the last Wednesday of every month at 6 o'clock. Our group is free to attend. No registration is necessary. We try to make it as easy as possible for those that are on their grief journey after losing their spouse to attend. You get handouts at every meeting. We have a nice, small, informal group. It's very casual, and we sit around, and the whole crux of the matter of our group is that together, we all can help each other heal through the grief journey of losing our spouse or significant other. So basically, the meeting lasts about an hour and 15 minutes, and a lot of it is input from the people that come. I do have topics that I bring up occasionally. Most times there's plenty to talk about. In fact, today's topic is one we often talk about in our meeting about signs. So it should be a very good program today. Also, what we do at Such Spirit is, besides the monthly meetings, we also give out a quarterly newsletter that is a color quarterly newsletter that comes out that I publish. This newsletter is available to anybody. You don't have to attend the group or not. It's free. It can come to you by electronic means on an attachment with an email, or even by regular mail. But it comes out 4 times a year, and in here is different articles about grieving. In fact, I write an article or a reflection every time out. There is my own reflections in here as well. So this will come to you free, whether you come to the meeting or not. For no reason, you can get this newsletter. It's loaded with different articles and different information and quotes that might help you during your time of need, or maybe somebody else you know. So basically, we have that going on. And then on top of that, to conclude more or less, also the things I've wrote about in the newsletter, the articles, after many years, I've come to the realization there's no place to really see all the articles except in my newsletter. and only those that get it see it. So this is a public announcement for the first time, but I have come up with a book that has just been released. And this book is just came out in publication. It's called Miss Your Forever, Reflections After the Death of a Spouse. And this book is available right now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and a host of other online bookstores. And it's going out and it's available right now. So I just wanted to bring that up as well. There'll be more information about the book coming out in the future newsletter. I just wanted to share that with you as the first time publicly that's being announced. So I'm very delighted to be a sponsor of Circle of Life. I am been part of them for many years. It's a great group, certainly to help educate the public in all things end-of-life care. And I'm honored and proud to be that. So thank you very much for listening to me. Turn it back to you, Deb.
Okay, thank you so much. And I want to apologize personally for the doorbell sound. I've been on the other side trying to stop it. It's a Zoom thing, and I have not successfully. It's every time somebody joins, and it's such a large audience today, 95 at this point, that's what the doorbell sound is. And I'm hoping it will stop really soon, and I'm going to prevent that from happening in future meetings. So with that being said, Circle of Life Coalition is a organization that provides a safe space for anyone to discuss and learn about aging in place and anything to do with life's journey and end of life topics, disease states, non-disease states, and again, life's journey. And no topic is really off bounds related to those things. And with that, we will introduce our speaker, Miss Kaitlin Rowe. She is presenting, of course, a bird, a coin, a feather, signs from loved ones. Kaitlin is an LPN with 7 years experience working in local retirement communities. She's now a hospice liaison with the Sarah Care Hospice based out of Allentown. She covers multiple counties, including Berks, Schuylkill, Monroe, Lehighton, and Carbon counties. The Sarah Care is proud to now offer a new dementia program, and it's designed to reduce the amount of pharmaceutical medications that are used to treat behaviors associated with dementia and replace those medications with the use of interventions such as a weighted blanket, a specialized activity pillow. So there are three goals for this presentation. There's 4 different types of signs from loved ones, and she'll review those today, and what those signs and symbols that people often see and personal experiences. So during this time in the chat section, you can ask questions and or offer some of your observations, and we will take care of that at the end of the presentation. Again, this is a video presentation that you can go to our website at any time and view or ask that others view with you. Without further ado, Kaitlin.
Hi, Deb. Good morning, everybody. And thank you so much to the Circle of Life for having me talk today about the signs of loved ones. You know, this topic is something that I think we can all relate to in some way or another. And throughout my presentation, I'm going to be sharing some personal experiences I've had. And I hope that that just helps validate some experiences that you may have experienced throughout your life. I have a partner here. His name is Jamie. So we share our territories throughout Berks, Schuylkill, Monroe, Carbon, and Lehighton. So he might jump in and share a few things as well. Okay, so our topic today is a bird, a coin, a feather, and it is signs from loved ones. And what do we mean by signs from loved ones? Signs from loved ones is a way for those who have passed away to communicate with us from the other side. And these signs can be divided into 4 different categories. The different categories are visitation dreams, electrical phenomena, signs or symbols, and people. The first one we're going to talk about is visitation dreams. This type of sign from a loved one is the easiest for us to experience because when we are sleeping, we are in an in-between place. Not every dream that has our deceased loved ones in it is considered a visitation dream. And according to Anne Wright, PhD, real visitation dreams have the following 8 characteristics. The first characteristic is that the visitation dream has to feel real. It will be vivid, and you will not question whether or not it's a visitation dream. The second characteristic is that, sorry, it's kind of repeating the first one, but the second characteristic is that if you're questioning if it's a visitation dream, then it's probably not. It's something that you would know for certain and have a peace kind of come over you that your loved one's visiting. The third characteristic is because they are so real and vivid, you'll remember the visitation dream very clearly for days, months, and years, and probably for the rest of your lifetime.
Yeah.
Fourth characteristic is the person will almost always appear in the dream to be completely and behaving in a loving manner. The fifth characteristic is whether or not they speak to you verbally in the dream, they will communicate their reason.
Kaitlin, can you unmute yourself, please? Kaitlin, you'll have to unmute yourself, please. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. So were you able to hear anything I said, Deb? Deb, I'm sorry. I'm not quite sure where you were last able to hear me from.
Number 2.
So we're going to backtrack. So number 3 is that because the dream, the characteristic, because the dream, it feels so real and vivid, it's a dream that you're always going to remember, probably for days, years, months, and probably for the rest of your lifetime. The fourth characteristic is that the person will almost always appear in your dream to be completely healthy and behaving in a loving manner. The fifth characteristic is whether or not the person speaks to you verbally in your dream, they will communicate the reason for being there very clearly. The sixth characteristic is when they do communicate, it isn't because they want to engage in idle chit-chat. It's not easy for someone who's deceased to enter your dream, so when they come to you, it's going to be with a purpose. The seventh characteristic is that most often these messages fall into the category of reassurance. They want to let you know that they're okay, that they're happy, and to offer you peace of their passing. And the eighth characteristic kind of reiterates the seventh, that after a visitation dream, when you wake up, you will often be filled with a sense of peace and love. So actually, one of the first experiences that I'm going to share with you is that when I was young, I believe I was about 13 years old, I had a younger cousin pass away suddenly who was around the age of 8 at the time of his passing. And maybe, I think it was like 3 months after he had passed away, I was at a doctor's appointment and I randomly passed out, blacked out, fell on the ground, was still breathing, but was unable to respond verbally. During that time, I was able to see my cousin and he was playing baseball with my grandfather. And it was so clear and realistic. And I remember him just saying, you know, I want you to share with my mom that I'm okay. And then it just continued on with him playing a game of baseball with my cousin. And then I was able to come to. So that's an experience that I had. Again, I was 13. I'm not 13 anymore. And that's something that I'll certainly remember for the rest of my life. Electrical phenomena. Many people believe that as we pass away, we become a form of energy. A lot of psychic mediums will say that the best time that they can do a reading is when it's raining outside or if they're near water. And again, it's just because when we pass away, we're becoming that form of energy, so it's easier to come back and speak to everybody. Sometimes with electro phenomena, we'll see like a light flickering or a CD player skipping. And I'm actually going to ask my partner, Jamie, to share a recent experience that he's had.
Hello, everyone. The recent experience I had was that my father just passed away on December 20th. He was actually on our services. And to be honest with you, I was a little reluctant with a lot of stuff. My mom just kept telling me, you know, all I want is a sign from Dad. You know, I just want to know he's okay. I just want to know he's safe. And her biggest thing was that I just want to know he's at peace. You know, and she, you know, since he passed, you know, what was, you know, a couple of weeks ago, she's still, even last night when I spoke to her, she's like, Jamie, I still have not seen a sign from Dad. You know, I kind of shared with her, I was visiting with my mom and I was up in the bedroom where my dad passed. And, you know, for some reason, his alarm just kept going off. My mom's like, I don't know why it's going off. We'll go off at the same time every night. So I was there, I spent the night with her. And it was around midnight. I went in his room, his alarm was off. I would turn it off and it would keep going off. And I finally just unplugged the clock. And right when I did that, you know, he is one of the ancient cell phones we all remember, you know, the flip phone with the crazy armor around it, can't send text, can't do anything. That just started going crazy. It started beeping and didn't stop for like probably for a good 3 minutes, you know. And at first I didn't, you know, as soon as I walked out of the room, like Kaitlin said, I just felt, I don't know, and believe me, I'm not a person who feels a lot of that stuff. I just felt something, and it kind of goes back to what Kaitlin said. I felt a peace, and I almost knew it was my dad, you know, kind of telling us, "Hey, look, I'm okay. You know, I'm tired." You know, I think a lot of the beliefs we see with some of our patients, they say they're tired when they pass, and it takes them some time maybe to send some signs. You know, when they pass, they're tired. They, you know, their spirit might rest or whatever. But you know, just reflecting on that and talking to my mom, I really truly believe that was my dad kind of saying, "Hey, look, you know, thank you, and I'm at peace. I'm okay." You know, and it was something very, you know, at first it didn't hit me, but after reflecting on it, it really hit me hard that this definitely could have been a sign from my pop that he's passed on and he's doing okay.
Thank you, Jamie, for sharing that. So now we're going to review signs or symbols, and these are kind of things that we see or will come to us that make us think, oh, I wonder if that's my dad's coming by or my grandfather. These are kind of the common signs or symbols, and we're going to review each one more in depth. So the first one is a bird, second's a coin, a feather, butterflies, a specific number or number pattern, and then some people have the ability to choose their own, and we'll talk about that a little bit more detail. So birds. This is probably the most common that I think people believe, and it's related to the cardinal. And you always hear the saying, when cardinals appear, an angel is near. So cardinals have a long symbolic of beauty and in the midst of darkness, hope in the midst of sorrow, and renewal in the midst of winter. And a lot of the things that I found when I was kind of researching this topic is that it all relates back to the Bible. So this is a passage from the Bible, and it says, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. And a lot of people relate this as kind of a direct way of them saying like, hey, we're going to send these cardinals to you when someone passes away to offer you that peace. Now, cardinals are the most popular, but also bluebirds seem to be the second most common that we see come up. This is another popular one, and it's pennies. So there's a quote, and it says, when an angel misses you, they toss a penny down, sometimes to cheer you up, to make a smile out of your frown. So don't pass by that penny when you're feeling blue. It may be a penny from heaven that an angel tossed to you. And again, what I'm reading and kind of researching is that these pennies are usually found in unexplained places. They're not going to be sitting right next to your coin jar, but instead, one of the stories I had read was about a woman who found one sitting on her pillow next to her bed. somewhere where a penny would normally not be. So we hear most frequently about pennies, but what about dimes? So dimes are believed to be a message from those who have passed, letting you know that you're not alone. It's a symbol that someone's trying to get your attention, to give you guidance or validation that you're on the right path. And then some other people believe that a dime symbolizes the number, well, it equates to 10 cents. So the number 10 symbolizes a circle. So a dime might indicate the coming of full circles. Feathers. Feathers symbolize the protection and love of guardian angels, the wind, the creator, and even the connection one has with God. And when we're talking about signs from loved ones, we are specifically talking about white feathers. Other feathers have different symbolic meanings, most of them not related to signs from loved ones. Like a lot of Native Americans have different beliefs that different colored feathers show a different level in your hierarchy. Butterflies. Butterflies are a powerful symbol of change and transformation. One of the things that I've learned through putting this presentation together is that some people are given power animals. And that is a native earth-based culture belief that each animal brings a different message from the spirit. So what that means is that whatever you're needing at that time is what your deceased loved one will send you. So butterfly colors, the different color butterflies mean that your loved one is sending you a different symbol. So if you are seeing a yellow butterfly, they are kind of encouraging you to have a transformation that will bring you joy, happiness, and creativity. An orange butterfly would be encouragement, excitement, and passion. A white would be encouraging spiritual change. And a black would be potent change. So what that means is that a change might be coming and they are warning you to look in the opposite direction. It's a change that might not be a positive one, and they're trying to warn you to stay away from that. Specific numbers or number patterns. So this is when you kind of wake up every night in the middle of the night and you look at the clock and it always says 3:11 or 2:30. Or it could be looking at the clock and you see repeated numbers like 11:11. And according to numerology, the number 11 is a master number, which signifies intuition, insight, and enlightenment. When paired together, 11:11 is a clear message from the universe to become conscious and aware. Many people suggest that seeing 11:11 signifies that your spirit guides are attempting to contact you. It means hard work and determination. And just like the angel number 644, the angel number 444 also deals with balance and security. It represents home, its solid foundations, and the warm and calm feeling it invokes. Angel number 444 vibrates the message of responsibility and practicality, as well as honesty and wisdom. So choose your symbol. The reason I included this in here is that a dear friend of my friend was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis at a young age and passed away in her early 20s. And she knew that she was going to be passing. And before she passed away, she said to her mom, "Hey, when I come back to visit you, I'm going to come through as glitter." So about a week or two after she passed, her mom was standing at her kitchen sink and looks at the windowsill, and there's a random few pieces of unexplained glitter sitting there. So it's something that I believe that if you know your time is coming, that you're able to choose your own symbol and come through to your loved ones in the manner that you pick. People. So this is another type of way for someone to come through. And this is what I would say is like a more realistic feeling. It's when you walk into a room and you can feel kind of a presence there when maybe the room is empty. It's when someone wore the same perfume for years and you haven't smelled it, and then all of a sudden you walk into a room and you smell it unexplained. It might even be hearing a voice or feeling like someone's touching you while you're sleeping. It could also include partial and full appearances. So I'm going to go back to my story that I shared about my little cousin who passed away. After that event took place, I got in the car with my mom, and I was honestly scared. I wasn't quite sure what to think of it. At 13 years old, it was a pretty surreal thing to experience. So my mom said, all right, we need to go and tell your aunt. She needs to know about this. It will bring her peace. And it also happened to be what would have been my cousin's 9th birthday. So we go to my aunt's house and I sit down and I tell her the story. And she said, well, do you remember when this happened to you before? I said, no. And my mom kind of looks at me and she looks at my aunt and she said, no, I never really shared that with Katie. So long story short, they shared with me then that when I was 3 years old, my grandmother had passed away. And for months after she passed away, I would sit on my bed and I would talk to her. And my mom would come in my room and she'd say, you know what, it's time for you to go to sleep now. And I would say, oh, I can't, I'm talking to Nana. And she would say, no, remember, Nana passed away. You need to go to sleep. And I'd say, she did not pass away. She's sitting right here. And I would take my hand and I would kind of go up and I could trace an outline of where I saw her. So this would go on for months, and eventually my mom gave up trying to tell me to go to sleep. She just let me go. And then she said, one day I stopped and she said, oh, why aren't you talking to Nana anymore? And I said, oh, Nana told me to tell you that she went away, that she's okay. She's with the angels now, and she's with Jean Gary. And at 3 years old, I would never have known that Jean was my grandmother's best friend who passed away years before I was even born. So it's kind of weird to have those two experiences happen in my life. The first one I don't remember. I do remember maybe talking to my grandfather after my grandmother passed, and he had started dating another woman. And I said to him, oh, Nana's mad that you're dating someone. I briefly remember that conversation. But just to have these two surreal experiences happen, these signs from loved ones are something I definitely believe in. On this slide, I included some book recommendations. These are not books that I have personally read, but when doing some research, they had some of the best reviews. So the first one is Messages from a Wonderful Afterlife, Signs Loved Ones Send from Beyond. We also have Never Say Goodbye by Patrick Matthews, and I Got Your Message, Understanding Signs from Deceased Loved Ones. And if you're interested and you want these titles again, I could probably include them in the chat, or you could even ask Deb for my email address. I could send them to you in an email. On this slide here, I just included some local psychic mediums. I went to see a psychic in the last 2 years, and it was, again, an experience I'll never forget. I had gone there after my cousin had passed away at 17 years old in a car accident, and it just brought a sense of peace to me. Mediums have a lot of, some people agree with them, some people don't, but I think it has to be based off of what you're looking for and whether you're open to hearing what they say. So the medium I had gone to see is Alicia from Heaven Talks, and she's located in Douglasville. One of the things that she shared with me that I would like to share with all of you is she said, when someone passes away, what they see is bright colors that almost look like you're in Ireland. She said, so think of that vibrant green color. She also shared that your loved one is always seen as happy, and they physically look at the last time that they felt that happiness. So you're not going to see somebody in a wheelchair, or if somebody had a leg amputated at 70 years old, what you would see of them is a younger version. So anyway, here are some other mediums in the area. There's Psychic Readings with Terry, who is located in West Lawn. And there's Psychic Readings by Erica, located in Reading. I cannot personally speak on any experiences with them, They do have really good reviews online, and I would be happy to share some other mediums. If you're in other areas that you're looking for, I could certainly do the research and kind of fill you in. Here's some of the resources I used. And again, there's a lot of articles online, a lot of books you can see that kind of all talk about this topic. And it's really interesting to get different people's perspectives. And I'm sorry, I think I talked really fast. So it has allowed a lot of time. But I actually think it's really good because this is a good time for people to share maybe some experiences they've had or to also ask any questions.
Thank you, Kaitlin. That was definitely some interesting stories, and you definitely shared some real experiences and things that people can't poo-poo and just say, oh, that can't be real. And that's what people do try and do when things like that happen. Those are things that can't be explained away. That happens a lot. So what I would ask of folks is that if you have something to share, to put it in the chat and we will unmute you. Please don't unmute yourself, because then people start to talk over each other and we don't want that to happen. We want everyone to be able to share equally. So Peggy Hartzell, To Everyone, The Art of Dying, A Journey to Elsewhere by Peter Fenwick and Elizabeth Fenwick is another good book. So thank you for sharing that, Peggy. Oh, Michelle said she missed the first half hour. Will there be a recording? Yes, Michelle, there's a recording that will be on the Circle of Life Coalition website and posted to Facebook within 24 to 48 hours. Gary does have to do some editing based on a couple of glitches that we had today. So we definitely will have that posted. Thank you. Does anyone have anything to share that we will unmute you that you can share? Here, any personal stories that you want? Denise Rowe. Okay, let me find you, Denise, and unmute you. Or go ahead and here we go. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself there. Are you there, Denise?
Yes, can you hear me?
Perfect. There you go.
I just wanted to share, I'm Katie's mom. And one thing I just wanted to share with everyone was that when these experiences happened to Katie, specifically when she was 13 years old and my nephew passed away that was 9, it was very difficult for Katie. It wasn't something that she could handle well. It actually required me to take her to a psychologist for her to get over it, because I'm sorry, I just got yelled at because her name is Kaitlin to everyone else. I call her Katie, so I apologize for that. But she had difficulty dealing with the experiences that she had. It was very hard on her as a teenager, and it's just something that she needed help by going to a psychologist and speaking to someone with what she was experiencing. And the psychologist shared with me that it's not something that happens to everyone. It takes a special person for someone to come to them. It's not something that everyone is open to. So I just wanted to, share that and let people know that it's not always easy for people to handle when a loved one does come to them.
Thank you, Denise. That's very true. And more people should be open to psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, and take their children to, especially parents don't understand. Children don't understand, and to work through those emotions and feelings and experiences is so hard. So to have a neutral party to talk to is helpful. So thank you for helping your child through that. Thank you so much, and for sharing with everyone. So let me get to the chat here to somebody else. My mouse is uncooperative. Matthew Gamont, the Lehigh Valley Medium is awesome. They had 2 readings, private and small group, and amazing. While I'm struggling with my mouse, We had gone to a medium too after a close person had passed several months, and it was at the invite of someone else. It wasn't something we set up, and they came to us and said, we are seeing someone, shared some things with my children. We didn't know them from Adam, shared some things that no one would know. And it was kind of cathartic for us. So it was very interesting. Opened my eyes to some things. Michelle Copeland has an experience to share. So Michelle, please unmute yourself. You are next up on deck.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Michelle. I actually work with Tom at Compassus. And this is something that my mom shared with me actually when my grandfather passed. He passed away about 7 years ago, very unexpectedly. And he was a bird watcher. So we associate cardinals with my pop. And the story my mom shared with me, it was maybe a week after he died. She was having a really hard day and she was driving along, and
Oh, Michelle, we suddenly can't hear you. Uh-oh. Shoot. Michelle, why don't you mute and unmute and see if that fixes it? Darn it. Oh, Michelle, we're gonna move on a little bit. Darn it. While you do that, from Kara, 2 questions. First, when seeing cardinals, does it mean something different if it's a female cardinal? Secondly, does it mean anything different if you see more than one at a time? How do you tell the difference between a male and a female cardinal, I think is the first question. And then Kaitlin, if you could move on to then the second part of that question.
So I have to be honest, I'm not an expert in this topic. It's more of a hobby, something I've, researched specifically for this presentation too. But my partner here had shared that you can tell the difference between a male and female cardinal if it's a dark red or a light red. In the research that I had done, I didn't see that there is a difference, or that it means anything different if there's 1 or 2 or a group. It was just specifically that a cardinal was sent to you. A lot of what I read too is talking about how, like, you will know, like, you'll have this gut in feeling that cardinal or, butterfly is sent to you for that reason. And they kind of interact with you differently than as if you just are driving by and see a cardinal fly through. Maybe it's always coming up to your window or hanging around your house more frequently. They have more strange behaviors than just seeing one.
Okay, thank you. Michelle, do you want to try and speak? See if we can hear you. Dang. Okay. Maria.
I don't have female.
Maria, did we hear from you? If not, unmute yourself and we'll hear what you have to share. Oh, I don't see Maria anymore. Okay. Let's see.
Maria is still here, but she can't unmute.
Oh, gosh darn it. Okay, yeah. Denise said male cardinal vibrant red. Okay, and and Wendy said male cardinals are bright red, female cardinals are more muted. Karen Y, I've had signs through electrical things. What does it mean when they stop? I don't know. Does anybody know the answer to that?
I would say that your deceased loved one believes then that you have clearly received their message.
Okay.
Because a lot of what I was reading was that when people are coming through to you, they're trying to guide you or tell you something in a way. So after you've had that happen, they probably feel like you've received that message.
Okay. Galaxy Tab A8 saw a white feather on their living room floor last night. So that's all it says. Does that mean anything? How do you determine who's sending you a sign? Dottie is asking.
I don't know if there's a way that we can say for certain who is sending the sign. That might be something that could be further explored through a medium. I would say that it's probably whoever you're looking for one from. Who are you needing to hear from at that time?
Right. Is there some symbol or phrase or something that from before? A medium might, yeah, if you don't ask the question before they start. Wendy, one time at a said spirit meeting, as the group was meeting, a male cardinal perched in a tree just outside the window of the extra library where the group was meeting, and it was just very meaningful at the time. Joyce has an experience to share. Joyce, can you unmute yourself? And I will, Joyce, I don't see a Joyce. I don't know if your iPad.
I'm unmuted.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Joyce. Please share.
My husband died of ALS in September. And I went away for a week with some girlfriends down to South Carolina. When I got back, I went to our beach house, which is where we are capable. That's about the only place we could vacation when he was sick. And God, I'm gonna cry. We had our cell phones set for every 4 hours for his medications, and 6:30 a.m., 10:30 a.m. So I had turned all those off when he died. And I'm in bed at the beach, and at 6:30 the alarm goes off. And I thought, I must have missed that one. So I went and shut it off. Went around, did some things in the house, got my shower. I'm drying off from the shower, and at 10:30, my phone's going off again. So I truly believe it was him talking to me and letting me know that he's okay.
Yeah.
So sorry about that.
No, don't apologize. I'm going to echo what Galaxy Tab 8B to everyone says, and we are sorry for your loss. And thank you for feeling safe enough to share that with us here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, everybody's echoing that there. Yes, thank you. Kel has something to share. You can unmute yourself, Kel, and share, please.
Good morning, everybody. Just wanted to share something that happened back in October. Maybe some of you remember on October 31st, it was Halloween. It was a Saturday night, and it was the first time, I forget, back then I did the research, but it was at least 60 or 70 years since we had a full moon on Halloween in the Eastern time zone. And a lady friend of mine and I won't say where we went to, because honestly, we weren't supposed to be there after dark, but we went to a place that we knew supposedly had some different things happen, which really couldn't be explained. She told me that the one year she was there with her boyfriend, and when she looked in the window, the one bureau was one certain way with the drawers not opened at all. And then when she came back a few times, the one door gradually kept like opening slowly. And she knew at that point, nobody, no tour guides, no nothing was in the house. And she got talking with somebody that volunteers there shortly thereafter that. And this volunteer had no idea what she experienced, nothing. And my friend asked the lady, do you guys ever have anything, weird going on here? Like, different things, possibly ghosts or like, whatever. And she said, now that you mention it, at times in the one bedroom, the one bureau, the doors somehow open by themselves. And she promises me this lady had no idea what she experienced. Well, anyway, my friend and I went there to this building at night on Halloween, this past Halloween, on the full moon, where we both understand supposedly the veil is thinner possibly on Halloween. And we were both as open, we made ourselves as vulnerable as we could be, just asking for any signs, anything from anyone from the other side. And something that happened was, going back to the electrical thing, not at this house, at the main house, but across this like grassy area, there was like a smaller building with different lights, regular lights on the outside of the building. As I was talking, neither of us remembered this light flickering at all, but as I was talking and asking for anything from anyone, any signs, whatever, the one light started flickering, and it seemed to like flicker as I was like talking to it. And my friend thought the same thing. So again, we didn't know for sure, but it brought us both peace, because it definitely appeared when I wasn't facing the light from where we were at and talking, basically talking to whoever was listening, whoever might be there with us that we couldn't see. The light would flicker, but when I would stop doing that, then the light would stay on. So maybe the light bulb was slowly burning out, maybe it's not, but it brought us both peace. So
Right. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I'm glad that you could find some peace in the thought that others are there with us. So from Cindy to everyone, my dogs bark for no reason. Can he be seeing my deceased loved one's spirit? Excuse me. And the doorbell rang this morning, but nobody was there. Can that be my deceased loved one? I'm gonna take that. I say in the evidence of nothing else, it could be. And like Kaitlin had said, it's a gut thing many times. My uncle's dog barks what I think is for no reason sometimes, but the dog's hearing is very keen, and I look and the neighbor's car is pulling out and he's heard it. I did not hear anything. Or there's a bird right outside the window. But if there's you have no other reason, or it's at a corner of the room, maybe if your gut says, if you have a spidey, hair on the back of your neck. And the doorbell, my doorbell rings because it's not a ring, it's a knockoff of the ring. And if the wind hits it a different way or the sun hits it a different way, it rings. And once we had an electrical short, but again, if it's your gut and spidey sense and a feeling, Cindy, then perhaps it is. Let's see. Now let me just scroll down here. Up. Kaitlin, Jamie would like to share something.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to share, it's kind of a tough story. My son, when he was 7, was diagnosed with leukemia. And one of my first experiences with this was he was struggling a little bit, so we were at CHOP. And I remember he finally fell asleep. It was 2 in the morning, and just having a conversation with one of the nurses there. And I think it goes back, Debbie, to something you said about kids. They actually had groups there for parents who have lost kids, and they were just so focused on wanting a sign. But when the nurses would talk to the kids, they would constantly have stories about, the kids that were going through treatment that had friends there that passed. They constantly have stories about, hey, Sammy came to me in a dream, or, I saw him the other night, and I think it was just, for me, it was eye-opening and such a difficult time. I remember one of the nurses there at the pediatric cancer center, told me something, I'll never forget. She said, with adults, I think with us, our brains are should use the word noisy. It can be hard for us to clear our minds and allow things like that to come through. With a kid, they don't have that noise in their head. So they would get a lot of different signs. And I think one thing I always tie this into, I don't think there's any, but it is a great unknown. There's no experts on what happens after you pass away. And I think a lot of this kind of goes back to people's faith. And I think one thing we tell our staff here, we follow our patients' families for a year after that patient dies. And our bereavement counselors, you have to have an open mind, and you have to understand that everybody's beliefs are different, and you really have to validate that stuff. You have to be a good listener and let people share what they feel. I think some people are so focused on wanting a sign, they actually might miss some of those signs. And again, it all falls back on everybody has different beliefs, and you can't try to put a square peg in a round hole. You really have to be there to listen and support. But I think just going through that experience with my son and witnessing a lot a lot of young kids pass, and my son would even tell me, Daddy, you know, I had a dream about Sammy last night. He came in, we were playing Legos, you know, and at first I was probably the person I was not a believer at all. But then after hearing these different stories and going through a couple groups, you know, it really is eye opening, and it really, that kind of started my journey in the hospice world. You know, I think death for a lot of people, at least, is scary. You know, it's a really scary thing compared to different cultures where they embrace death. You know, the American, you know, we want answers now, and for certain things, you're not going to get an answer. It all falls back into what your faith is, what your belief is, and yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Jamie. Yeah, it's hard to shut down the noise sometimes, for sure. That's why I like to start the Circle of Life as safe space. No judges here. Christina, to everyone, the number 11 was always significant to our family. Her mother died at 11:11 a.m. She also created her symbol, ladybugs. Oh, we have a friend in our group that calls everybody ladybugs. She always loved loved ladybugs because they are mommies, and she loved being a mom more than anything in her life. They visit randomly all the time to my sister, brother, and me. Oh, I love that. Okay, thank you. Well, she had misspelled brother as a bother and then said LLL, he is a bother sometimes, but I meant brother. Okay. Oh, Tom Magerio said Michelle Copeland lost her internet. That's why we couldn't hear her. What a shame we didn't hear what she had to tell us, and she enjoyed the presentation. Lisa, to everyone, after my brother passed, we had a doorbell ring all the time. It was inside, outside my kid's bedroom door. We'd say Uncle Mike was coming to play with them. Oh, I love that. Denise, to everyone, so very true, Jamie, well said. Christina, to everyone, please look for a very interesting series on Netflix called Surviving Death. One episode is completely about signs. Okay, I love me some Netflix. Galaxy Tab A8 to everyone. I sometimes receive a knock on my door. My friend Mary Jane passed away 4 years. Haven't received any messages. Perhaps it's trivial based on human interactions, but after our beloved dog died after 15 years, we were sitting in our family room and our front door suddenly opened and we said, Buddy's home. Dog was 15, not 15 years later. Okay, gotcha. Alexis Long, to everyone. Today is my brother-in-law's birthday. He passed away almost 6 years ago while I was pregnant with our daughter. I wish I was here for this whole conversation. I think it's a sign this fell on his birthday. Oh, could be. Yeah. All right. Well, it's 9/11. 911. Help, help. No, just kidding. So I do want to end this very nice presentation and very interesting conversation by mentioning Dom Mergidio's book today, again, titled Miss You Forever, available on Amazon. I'm glad he was our sponsor today because we have lots of folks that we will miss forever, and look for signs and symbols of them still being with us in our hearts and souls. I thank everyone who was able to share today and be with us today. And please share this presentation with others who you think might benefit from it. And thank you for being with us today. Thank you, Kaitlin, so much for doing this presentation. This was her first Zoom and she did marvelous. She did very marvelously.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, no, wait, let me see. Thank you for attending. Thank you. Oh, one more. Anne Stroh, to everyone, and we'll end. A few days after my husband passed, my son and I went to the video store. My husband rented videos. When my son went in and I was in the car, a feather fell on my lap. Beautiful sign. All right, everyone. Have a great day. Bye. you.